Hello, hello, hello. How are you? How are you? Just browsing, and I stumbled across some things. And let's talk about it. So, Dr. Bill Cosby has been released. I know you all know that by now. But what you may not know, or you may, that Judge Joe Brown and Marc Lamont Hill had a discussion about it. And Judge Joe Brown had to school this dude on the law. All right, all right, all right. Let's talk about it. See you in 30. Okay, yeah, all right, all right, all right. So, yes, Dr. Cosby has been released. He was accused of allegedly drugging and raping some Bigfoots. It makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me. I never believed it in the first place. So I'm glad everything was overturned and, you know, hopefully they'll pay him restitution for stealing some years out of his life. All right. Well, let's get to the subject at hand. Judge Jover, I just listened to because he has such a arsenal of wisdom and he don't mind using it at all. At all. What this video I'm about to show you, let's say fair use, okay? Fair use, fair use, fair use. It's for just discussion and educational purposes, entertainment purposes, okay? So fair use. Anyway, the discussion got kind of heated because, of course, Marc Lamont Hill. I have no idea what's wrong with his medulla oblongata, but this dude, he's not right. He's not right in the head. But anyway, I digress. I'm gonna let Judge Joe do the talking. I'm gonna let him do the talking. Simply because, simply because he do what he do best. What people really don't realize, but I'll give my commentary after. I'll give my commentary after. Let's just leave it at that. And I'll give it after. Okay. All right. So, all right. Let's hope it play. You know how this ticking goes. There, here we go again. What happened? Oh, just play. Just play, buddy. Are you playing? Here we go. I'm always having technical difficulties, and I don't know why. If anybody know why, let me know. It's probably because I don't know what I'm doing.
Back to Black News Tonight. We are here talking once again about the case of Bill Cosby. As you know, he was released to most people's surprise yesterday, walking out of a Pennsylvania
Uh,
Pennsylvania State Prison because
Fair
of a
use.
very interesting development in his case. And yesterday, many celebrities chimed in on social media. One of
Fair
TV's
use.
most well-known judges, Judge Joe Brown, was one of those people who called out the way that mainstream media had been covering the story. Hours ago, he tweeted, and to be clear, much of this was in response to my wrote, but he said, anyone who was knowledgeable of American law would have expected and predicted the outcome of the Cosby appeal. Mainstream media in Hollywood incite public disorder by lying to the people about the law and encouraging mob rule. Hollywood reacts to Bill Cosby release with shock. Here to discuss his recent comments, joining me now is Judge Joe Brown. Judge, thank you for joining me. Why do you say that mainstream media encourages mob rule?
I've talked to 43 lawyers around the country, 17 judges.
Did I do something again?
And I one that was shocked by the verdict. Most on the trial, it's a travesty. It's a violation of due process and American law. That is part of this mess that mainstream media is trying to feed into the heads of the citizenry and them by saying emotions and their feelings are supposed to have paramountcy over what happens within the law. That's not the way it goes.
That's right.
I get people who never even took what they should have gotten in the fourth and fifth grade get to talking about how somebody.
Don't. This is always. Oh, Lord. Come on, keep talking. I get it. I get it. And I want to find out why right now in the middle. I guess it doesn't want me to share it. Is that what it is? It doesn't. It's buffering, so maybe it don't want me to share it. Okay, look like here it comes. Come on. Okay. All right.
How
So
somebody going to disprove what these
basically, he
women
asked
accused Dr. Cosby of, what they claim, not the other way around. That's American law. I see too much of this.
facts.
Show up on the courthouse, voice your opinion, and get the courts to yield to what you believe. That's not the way the law works. That's called mob rule, mob justice. And if you want a more egregious exemplar, take what happened to Emmett Till and every other black man that's been lynched in the history of it. Somebody got emotional and decided to suborn the law, go around it, and do what their emotions drove them to do. So that is the way things ought to be. Law separates us from the animals, and we can't have this disregard of the law.
That's
I want
right.
to commend this Howard Dean for being forthright enough to speak out on what the reality is. And I would suggest that they need to strengthen the breadth requirements at Howard University so I don't see such ignorance coming out of this profoundly historic black university. My father went there way back 40s.
Well, Judge, there's two things going on at once, though, Judge.
That I have heard come out of that place lately. And if anybody,
so Judge, I think there's two things happening at once.
Justice, they ought to.
So, Judge, I think there's two things happening at once here, and I think, on the one hand, many of us are legitimately aware, and myself included, that the criminal legal system doesn't give equal outcomes to everybody. That black folk catch the worst end of this. That black men, when it comes to incarceration,
Fair
get
use.
the absolute worst end of this. And the Bill Cosby case is an example of a prosecutor who was dishonest. Bill Cosby absolutely, if he's told that you won't be prosecuted for giving this deposition, and then he gets prosecuted, that is a violation of his rights, and that is a violation of due process.
Of course it is.
On the other hand,
due process.
but on the
There is no other hand.
right,
but
hold on, let me finish this point, Judge.
On going forward should be disciplined.
So there's that, but then there's the other question that people. So then there's this other question that people though have, Judge, which is a legal question, which is not a legal question. I think those two things. The non-legal question is about whether or not Bill Cosby actually did harm. Legally, you can say he's not guilty because the not guilty stands.
He didn't do anything. American law, there is an absolute presumption of innocence until you are proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt using due process of law. If there was no due process of law, that presumption of innocence does not remove itself, and there is no valid conviction. If there is no valid conviction, that presumption of innocence stands as a rock for the defendant. It is to keep the government from acting in a dishonest fashion and using its powers for persecution. So Dr. Cosby
so I think we're on the same page with that.
Guilty through the process. He hasn't done anything. So under American law, the accusations are just, they no way other than accusations, and they must be proved using due process beyond doubt. If they have not been, then they are essentially worthless. Just so. That's
so I think we're on the same page with regard to the part of the challenge. And I sent out a tweet last night that you responded to. I said, Bill is not innocent. He has not been exonerated. His release means Cosby, full predator, was incarcerated within a criminal legal system that has regard for its own rules and procedures, as does Cosby for his victims. And you responded. You said
he hasn't had any. Is a baseless accusation. It has no weight.
No, so under the law, I think we're on the same page again. But part of the problem
in the 4th and 5th grade.
He's trying to push a narrative.
American law means when somebody makes an accusation, that's all it is. It has no weight. If there's probable cause, you have the complaint.
That's
but
right.
If you cannot find someone guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, they have done nothing.
That's right.
They walk out of there with their presumption of innocence intact. How clear can that be? There is nothing to answer.
I think that
he had a right to remain.
I think that part is clear. No, I think that part's clear, Judge. Let me just.
Then what is your point, dude?
Proving his guilt. It did not. So he stands.
Right. So I guess what
fair use.
Right. So what I want to do is just move the conversation up a little bit. I think you and I agree that legally he's not guilty, that legally he doesn't have any burden of proof. The state does and it hasn't met that. Legally, his rights were violated. We're on the same page. I'm saying the legal question to me is rock solid. But I think what was happening yesterday was people were conflating those two things. They were acting as if because the state didn't meet its burden and because he was released based on the fact that he didn't get due process, his due process rights were violated, that was somehow proof of the belief that many people had that Cosby was actually not just legally not guilty, but actually didn't do anything at the moral and ethical level. And
he didn't.
I want to place.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, let me place the question to you. So I guess what I'm saying is, can we hold space for two ideas at the same time? Can someone under the eyes of the law be completely not guilty? And at the same time, can we have a public conversation? Because I know you talk about culture, you talk about our community, you talk about values. Can we also talk about the fact that someone can be doing great harm and even be a predator at the same time that legally they're all the things you just said?
He's still trying to push that predator.
Because the law presumes them innocent.
That's right.
Proves them guilty. It is a specious thing. That's part of this new paradigm where everybody gets a trophy, a participation ribbon. Nobody's feelings get hurt. Freedom of speech gets restricted if somebody feels uncomfortable or undelighted by what is being said. That's not our reality.
That's right.
So let me ask you a question. When George Zimmerman killed Trayvon Martin, and the jury found him not guilty. Do you feel that the black community should not have continued to express outrage and call George Zimmerman the killer because under
It's
the law
not
he
the
was
same
innocent?
thing.
They should express outrage with themselves for lacking such political influence in the selection of the district attorney or in the even weight assigned to them. See, the rules are the same. But from my perspective, I think of all black folk that have called me over the last 35 of jury service, all of the black folk that voted a handout where you've got a racist idiot on that handout for judge, and they don't even pay attention to who's on the back. Folk who don't go out and vote for sheriff or effectively for the district attorney and complain. See, when you have an opportunity to do something about it, do it. And see, most of the people that are off in the penitentiaries are not in there for playing Robin Hood. They rob from their neighbors, burglarize their neighbors, kill their neighbors, rape their neighbors, sold poison to their neighbors. And the other thing is not guns. It's not any excuse. It's we lack of manhood and masculinity in our neighborhood. See, masculinity is the imposition of a set of behavioral standards on a boy. So when the boy goes in man, he has some things he has to do that he cannot get away with, compelled to look to, making where he lives a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, sense of purpose, morality, and ethics. He is a man of public peace, dignity, and order, who is a man of peace, who can be a brave and courageous man when necessary. See, we have to start
Judge,
taking
let me
our
pause you for a
neighborhoods
minute.
back.
We're going to take a Judge. I want to hear more about that, Judge. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to take a quick break and bring it right back. I'm going to push you on some of those
This
things as
dude
well.
here.
We got more Black News Tonight coming up right after this.
This dude here. He don't want. Here. Okay. All right. Did I stop? Did I stop the sharing? Come on. Stop. Okay. All right. So did you hear that? I think Marc Lamont Hill just got schooled. He kept trying to push an agenda to villainize our black men, to villainize our seniors. Dr. Cosby, I'm not saying he's a righteous man, he's a godly man. I'm not saying he never made any mistakes in his life. Not saying that. But he has laid down a legacy. And he does care about our people. He always spoke up to tell you get your education, pull your pants up, work hard, get a job, start your own business. He have talked repeatedly to our people, but people hated that. They got mad. And so a lot of them, they were applauding the fact that he was railroaded. I'm saying he was railroaded. It's not allegedly, he was. You saw them Bigfoots that they paraded in there. You know, goodness well, look at Camille Cosby and look at all them Bigfoots that them Transformers that they paraded in there to accuse him. Let me tell you something about the circle during that time. And this is basically what Judge Joe Brown was alluding to. This is how they get down. This is how they party. You're not going to repeatedly go somewhere where somebody is drugging and abusing you. This is how they party. No, he didn't do anything wrong. They were all consenting adults, and this is how they party. These models or athletes or entertainers, whatever they are that attend these parties, This is how they get down. They do lines. If anybody know what that is, they the snow. They do the snow lines. I'm trying, not to get, too graphic, but they pop pop the poppers and they do all those things to have a good time. This is their way of having a good time. This is their way of relaxing and being able to do whatever. Just like allegedly T.I. and Tiny is being accused of. This is the norm for certain people in the entertainment world. You may have some people that's in the private life that do that too. They sit around, they sip on something, and they smoke their weed. Same thing. This is how they party. During this time, during this era, they all was popping the Quaaludes. They all was, drinking and partying and living free and letting it all hang out. Okay. Now that man ain't guilty. This is what they all did. And I told people from the beginning, I don't believe he's guilty because that's how they party. This is what they do. No, you can't say 50 years later, oh, he touched me, he raped me, he did blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? No, you can't do that. After you done already benefited, you already got a career, you already lived your life lavishly, but now it's drying up. He no longer, letting you ride the gravy train. Now you want to pounce on him. Now you want to turn on him. No, this is how y'all party. This is how you get down. This is how y'all got y'all roles, y'all modeling jobs and whatever. Y'all was down for whatever. And you know it. And it still happens to this day. You're trying to villainize T.I. and Tiny, because they're being allegedly accused of these things. But this is how y'all get down. Y'all villainizing what's his name? R. Kelly. He's locked away but this is how y'all get down. Some of y'all parents push y'all children, y'all young daughters to him. And you did. This is what but when the gravy train is over, now you want to crawl foul. Yeah. But this is how you get down, but then you're gonna blame the person and call them a predator and all. This is what the others call our men anyway, super predators. And they want to do the 95 crime bill and lock our men up, call them super predators. And Marc Lamont Hill look just like us. But he is working double time to try to push an agenda, even though that man has been released. Even though Dr. Cosby has been released, this idiot is still trying to push an agenda, trying to put out there that he's a predator, that he's a sex offender, that he committed a crime, even though he didn't. How you commit a crime when you have willing participants? They were willing. They were consensual. Because this is how they partied the whole time. Look at Janice Dickinson. Man, that thing is come on. She still have issues to this day, allegedly, because of all the partying she did. But that was one of the ones that was one of his accusers, alleged accusers. Come on, stop playing. Let me tell you something. Yeah, it happens, but this Me Too thing, it's become weaponized for people that they don't like, that they want to blackball, they want to get rid of, they want to cancel culture. They use that Me Too, so it rendered the true victims powerless because the liars have weaponized it. to break down their enemy. When the gravy train is over, they no longer getting the roles they wanted or doing what they wanted to do, party with famous people. Now you're being villainized. I can't get on that train. I cannot, sit back and think it's okay to villainize our people. Are we perfect? No. Do we make mistakes? Yes. Will we make more mistakes? Absolutely. But I'm not going to get on that train, and I cannot stand to see one of us do the same thing. No matter how much Judge Joe Brown tried to break it down to him and tell him he didn't do nothing wrong, there was no legal standing, and he was falsely in prison. This dude tried so hard to push an agenda so to shape the minds of the people, of the masses, to continue to look at him as a super predator, as a pervert, as a criminal. Why would you do that? There's something really wrong with you. But yeah, you've been schooled, but you still trying to push an agenda. You're not one of us. Just because you are color don't make you our kind. All Israel is not Israel. Believe that. All Israel is not Israel. We do some dirty stuff to each other. And he was actually sitting there really trying to continue the stigma that continue to stain his name and his character. I know we on the same page with the legal, but let me just say this. I mean, do we just let him get away with being a predator, with being a sex offender? Come on, stop. You're innocent until proven guilty. They falsely imprison him. I'm just gonna say it. Period. Good and as well. He ain't want them Bigfoots, them Transformers. Look at them hard faces. Faces harder than his. The Transformers. Stop playing. At least you can get somebody that look like something. That remotely look like a natural born female. They come in pimping. walking like they walking like they play basketball or football or something. Let me say, y'all know it's true. I don't care what y'all say. I don't care what you think. You know it's true. Go back and look at those videos. Go back and look at those pictures. Look at it. Open your eyes and look at it. And there's nothing more embarrassing and that to be set up to say that you did something to that. You Dr. Cosby is the biggest star at that time. Women was everywhere. What you need to rape somebody for? That does not make sense. Everybody at those parties, they're there because they have an agenda and they want to be there because they're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to get a career. That's how that worked in that circle. That's how they party. And for Marc Lamont Hill, that's a dumb name, by the way. But anywho, I digress. For him to keep acting like he don't understand that. For him to keep acting like he didn't get what Judge Joe Brown was saying. It sounds like he's an op. It sounds like he's paid to continue to push this agenda, to continue to villainize our men. Look at him a little deeper, y'all. Look at Marc Lamont Hill deeper. Start checking him out. Listen a little closer. He don't say nothing good about us. I'm trying to tell you, he ain't one of us. All right, y'all. I don't want to drag this out. I just wanted y'all to see the little snippet of Lamont Hill getting schooled by Judge Joe Brown. Judge Joe Brown don't bite his tongue, and I like that. Just shoot straight from the hip. Tell it like it TIES. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to this page. Join the tribe. Yashala Kwam. Talk to y'all later. Shalom.